Hello and a warm welcome to TBC News, our top stories. Heroes Day 2024 underscores country's unshaken unity. U.S. terms Tanzania nexus of the future global economy.
Real nexus for the economy of the future.
Good evening, I am Faida Gaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. Also, get all the latest news via Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBC Online. President Samia Suluhu Hassan has led the Tanzanian citizens in commemorating the National Heroes Day, which this year nationally was marked in Dodoma. Here's a report by Kibasu Majere, read to you by Kanki Mwagomole.
The day known as Mashujaa Day is observed annually on July the 25th to honor the heroes who bravely fought for the nation. The celebrations have been led by President Samia Suluhu Hassan. The day was also colored by a parade mounted by the members of defense forces. This was followed by laying a shield, a spear, and wreath at the monument in the ceremony of the heroes. Here are some of the Tanzanian heroes.
Idi Amin wanted to do violence so that Nyerere will recognize him, but it was not possible. We traveled a lot by foot. This helped us avoid quick attack. They were using passenger tanks called the IPC, which have tires. Even if they are 15 kilometers away, you know they are coming. We fought a war and ended the war, so we are heroes.
Kibasu Majere, TBC.
U.S. Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs John Bass has concluded his visit to Tanzania. His visit was part of his travel to Chad and Tanzania that commenced on the 20th of July this year. My colleague Nasser Kingu got a chance to talk to him, whereby the Under-Secretary insisted that Tanzania plays a critical role in the regional and global peace and is the nexus of the future global economy.
Tanzania has been a really important contributor for many years to regional security and in many respects to global security through its contributions to a wide range of UN peacekeeping operations and to some of the conflict resolution and peacekeeping activities undertaken by regional organizations here within Africa, notably SADC. Unfortunately, we see, we're not seeing fewer conflicts in the world. We're seeing at least as many, if not more. And so it's going to continue to be important for all of us to work together to figure out how we can best support each other in addressing those conflicts, bringing them to an end, but also trying to improve economic development opportunities for people in societies impacted by conflict. So we can try to address the root causes, prevent migration, allow people to stay home and live productive lives. Tanzania is important to us because obviously those resources aren't available everywhere. I think we're important to Tanzania because whether it's the U.S. government or U.S. companies, we're interested in helping invest and develop these resources in ways that benefit the people of this country, even while they benefit through sale or production of new technologies, people of the United States and many other countries.
Talking about deepening bilateral ties between the U.S. and Tanzania, what difference do you think your trip is going to make, especially here in Tanzania? The current government is putting a lot of emphasis on the areas of investment and trade and other political and good governance areas. What difference do you think your trip is going to make this time around?
Well, I think potentially my visit offers us an opportunity to intensify a range of work that's already underway to make sure that when the Tanzanian government takes actions, whether it's to modify legislation, whether it's to translate that new regulation or modified regulation into practice, that what they are doing is well understood, not simply by governments and partners, but more importantly by private sector companies, so that they can make informed decisions about whether or not they want to deepen or expand investments in this society, or potentially take advantage of new trade opportunities. We find often, whether it's our companies or those of other countries, they'll often come take a look based on demography, based on the size of an economy. But what often makes the difference in terms of them choosing to invest is not simply an opportunity, but a confidence that there will be predictability in the application of the law that allows them to make investments with an expectation that they can be responsible contributors in that society, but also earn a profit in the process.
Don't miss the continuation of the interview tomorrow on TBC News, where the Undersecretary John Baz talks about China and Russia influence in Africa and Tanzania's 2024 and 2025 elections. Let's have a look at other stories now. The Executive Director of Tanzania Investment Center, TIC, Gilead Terry, says the country has made progress in the registration of local investment projects in the transportation, agriculture, industrial and commercial sectors, reaching an average of 38% of all projects registered at the center. He made the remarks in Dar es Salaam during a meeting involving local investors, which aims at increasing awareness to the investors on the new Investment Act 2022 and the investment incentives offered by this center so as to motivate more prospective investors.
Is to inform them of the opportunities that the sixth phase administration has put before them. We are telling them of the incentives and opportunities that exist. We are telling them of the reforms of laws as well as practice that the Tanzania Investment Center has done that makes it easy for them to invest. But the second thing is to listen. We have to listen to what they are experiencing on the ground if they are facing any challenges. And we have gathered together over 12 government agencies that are under one-stop facilitation center so that we can all listen together and answer any queries, any challenges, and troubleshoot. And our message to them is that we appreciate them and we are here to serve to make sure that they succeed, because in their success is where our country also finds success.
On the other hand, some local investors say that despite the incentives set by the government, there is still a need to facilitate capital for local investors to enable local projects compete with foreign projects.
Clearly explaining to us the new regulations and the law which has been passed by the Parliament of Tanzania, and that now it looks like Tanzanian investors have got a big stepping stone to go forward, and will move forward. With this new sixth phase government, the government has done a fantastic job of putting in the regulations, safeguarding and encouraging the local investors from Tanzania.
For the fiscal year 2022-2023, the center has registered 707 projects worth $6.516 billion, with Tanzanian projects being 38% and 20 partnership projects involving Tanzanians and foreigners. Russia is ready to share its advanced agricultural technology with Africa in order to jointly build a modern economy for the people. Speaking at the second Russia-Africa conference of the Valdai Discussion Club in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, the director of the Institute of Africa corresponding member Irina Abramova asserts that areas of cooperation between African states and Russia should be governance, education, information technology, among others.
It is quite remarkable that Russia is ready to offer an integrated approach to solving Africa's food and energy problems. Russia is ready to share its advanced agricultural and energy technologies, which will allow Africans to independently increase agricultural and energy production.
Valdai Discussion Club is a major international think tank, very popular in Russia. They discuss all sorts of internal, external, international relations.
Russia had been relating with many of African states in terms of security, in terms of defense, in terms of agriculture, but a lot needs to be done now to go to other sectors like innovation, sectors like technological transfer, intensive public diplomacy.
The standard gauge railway electric train has made its successful maiden trip from Dar es Salaam to Dodoma, the country's capital city, departing Dar es Salaam station at 6 a.m., carrying over 900 passengers and 14 carriages. Tanzania Railways Corporation Director Masanja Kadogosa says the trip is an introduction to the official inauguration ceremony, which will be graced by President Samia Suluhu Hassan next week. Our reporter, Castilia Manosa, has prepared the following report, read to you by Teddy Mparnyanga.
The successful maiden trip signifies one of the greatest transformation of transportation sector in Tanzania.
It started as an idea that was later modified to make it a reality. We worked hand in hand with the contractors.
History has been written, and some of the SGR staff and citizens who have got a chance to travel on the train on its maiden trip will not forget this day.
I have never seen electricity shut off. The fear of Tanzanians is the power cut. Just riding once is an unforgettable journey. Very comfortable and safe.
We have saved time since we have used a very short time to reach here and we are comfortably seated. I have really enjoyed this ride. It is a mode of transport that requires expertise and experience. Hence, Tanzania is forced to sign an agreement with Korea, which has vast experience at the mode of transport, so as to gain experience. This project is something that will be uniting countries of Africa.
The Executive Director of Economic and Social Research Foundation, ESRF, Professor Fortunato Makene, says 90% of the Tanzanians have been employed in the small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, which translate to more than 5 million jobs per year. She made the remarks during Tanzania-China dialogue on development, learning and cooperation, which involves various stakeholders from the College of International Development and Global Agriculture at China Agriculture University.
The majority of our people, about 90%, are absorbed to that sector, the employees, because the government doesn't employ the majority, or the private sector, the bigger ones as you think, doesn't. But small and micro and medium enterprises. So can you imagine, like, if the SMEs, assume we have 5 million, each one produce one job a year. That's 5 million jobs. But which that the government cannot, so we need to create an environment to support those sectors. One of the things that I think it's very important to note is the linkage between sectors, because we don't want to just talk about agriculture, about the economy, about education, but if you can think about the linkages between health and the industry. So all these sectors are very important and they contribute to our economy.
On the other hand, the Deputy Dean of the College of International Development and Global Agriculture at China Agriculture University, Tang Lixia, says the agricultural sector has played a key role to the growth of the economy of China and vows to cooperate with Tanzania in developing the economy through the agricultural sector, together with providing education on combating climate change that affects the agricultural sector in Tanzania.
Sector, especially in food security issue. I think in the future, China-Africa can organize more and more policy dialogue to focus on food security issues and also the rural transformation. As you know, China has reached zero hunger and zero poverty in 2020. China has a lot of different types of approach to fight against the poverty. But what these activities and also this kind of policies can be shared with Tanzania. I think we need to enhance the dialogue. Then we maybe Tanzania also can invite more and more Chinese researchers to come to Tanzania to understand the situation of Tanzania, to understand what are the main challenges has been encountered by of the development for Tanzania.
Now let's have a look at the water sector, whereby Deputy Minister for Water Kundo Matthew says the government expects to dig 900 water wells across the country to fulfill the ambitions set by President Samia Suluhu Hassan to ensure water sufficiency across the country. It's a report by Reginald Ndesika, read to you by Kanki Mwagumole.
While visiting the Mwanza region, the Deputy Minister for Water, Kundo Matthew, has directed the Mwanza Regional Commissioner Saidi Mtanda to take action against anyone who will hamper with the implementation of the project.
All the water projects are under your jurisdiction. So if there are departments that are lagging, don't hesitate to take action, because we are all working for one government and we are going to respond to the needs and the desire of Tanzanians.
Furthermore, the regional commissioner has urged the ministry to complete the funds for the Butimba water source project.
The project has been implemented in Butimba, but there are still funds that have not yet been released. So once the fund is released, it will help in pushing further in the project.
The Deputy Minister also visited religious institutions to find out the water problems faced by the institutions.
I requested that people who study water management be given a seminar so that they can have good customer care.
Many activities and meetings are held there, so connection to water needs to be prioritized.
The president wants to help women in getting running water from taps. Let's help her.
On the other hand, the deputy minister spoke to the department responsible for water services in the region, instructing them to work diligently.
The opportunity you got, use it by working hard, be professional and knowledgeable, and bring unity and love in your position so that people can see your importance.
Now from Mwanza, let's come back to Dar es Salaam, whereby the Unit Trust of Tanzania, UTT AMIS, urges Tanzanians to invest in the funds with no investment risks, which offers an interest of 10 to 12% on the inflation trends. Speaking in Dar es Salaam during the launch of the Kijiwe Mchongo campaign, which encourages people to invest in the financial and securities markets, UTT's Director of Marketing and Communications, David Mbaga, insists that investing through UTT is safer and that the campaign is a valuable resource for Tanzanians to learn about mutual fund investing.
The aim of the campaign, the objective being to pull Tanzanians together to invest through UTT AMIS, simply because it is profitable, it is It is liquidity, the issue of liquidity, like anytime you want money, you get your money. And also UTT has always given returns to the people.
Furthermore, the director affirms that the joint investment funds have sufficient liquidity, estimated to be worth 2.2 trillion shillings, which are invested in government bonds that enable any investor to withdraw his or her money whenever he or she desires.
Retirees and those who wish for income distribution, no matter where they come from, it has been providing around 2.5 to 4% every quarter of the year of the amount invested. And then we have the popular Ukwasi, which itself stands to over 1 trillion shillings, and has just been in the market for 10 years.
The shareholders of the Tanzania Breweries Limited, TBL, have approved a dividend of 537 shillings per share, equivalent to an increase of 85% of the dividend proposed in 2022 of 286 shillings per share. Speaking during the 51st annual meeting of the company's shareholders, the chairman of the board of the company, Leonard Mususa, says the increase is due to the growth of sales profit by 12%. On the other hand, the TBL country managing director, Michelle Kilpin, says the company continues to invest more and plans to revive the rice processing plant in Moshi, which will not only make the company save money by not importing rice from abroad, but also give certainty to the rice farmers in the country.
Tumefanikiwa kwa kiasi fulani kwa sababu ukichukua kiujumla.
We have been somewhat successful because if you take the first 6 months, it was very successful due to the efforts made by the management. In the last 6 months, we have had an increase in sales by 12%.
Yeah, and then importantly, from an investment point of view, linked to that, we really have a strong plan to grow the local barley sector. We've invested in our Kilimanjaro maltings plant based in Moshi. That plant will be commissioned in Q4 of this year. And at the same time, we are working with farmers to increase barley growing and barley production, both commercial and smallholder farmers.
A total of 158,445 million shillings will be approved to every shareholder this year, leading to the value of one share of the company to reach an average of 10,900 shillings. Now, before we wind up local news, let's have a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Do not miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Now stay tuned for all the latest in international news. Now let's have a look at international news.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has addressed the U.S. Congress and emphasized that the U.S. and Israel should continue to bind ties during the period when his country is in crisis against the Hamas group. Prime Minister Netanyahu made the remarks during his speech to the U.S. Congress. Regarding President Joe Biden's visit to Israel earlier this year, Prime Minister Netanyahu has praised the visit by saying its importance will not be forgotten in the country. He thanked the U.S. for providing Israel with generous military assistance for decades, adding that in return, Israel had provided the U.S. with critical intelligence that had saved many lives. Meanwhile, thousands of anti-Gaza war protesters demonstrated against Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu as he spoke to Congress. The curfew has continued to be stressed in Bangladesh following the ongoing student protest against the controversial job placement system last month. The protesters have been demanding an end to 30% of jobs for the descendants of the 1991 Liberation War fighters. Demonstrations began after the High Court reinstated the controversial quota system last month, and protests turned violent last week after governing party workers attacked demonstrating students. And U.S. President Joe Biden has told Americans in a televised address that he decided to end his faltering re-election campaign in a bid to save U.S. democracy. President Biden said he endorsed U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris to unite their fellow Democrats and the country. President Joe Biden said that the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, is a strong and talented leader with great ability to lead the United States. The White House speech marked his first public appearance since he left the race on 21 July, paving the way for Kamala Harris to run for the party's nomination.
That was international news as read and prepared to you by Lulua Mohammed. Now it is time for sports news. And in sports news, Simba Sports Club fans have welcomed the newly inaugurated kit unveiled yesterday at Mikumi National Park in Morogoro, hoping the team will do better in the upcoming Tanzania Premier League and CAF competition this season. Speaking to TBC News in Dar es Salaam, some of the Simba Sports Club fans look forward to purchasing the kit before Simba Day and Tanzania Premier League kicks off. Simba Sports Club unveiled the kit at Mikumi National Park in Morogoro ahead of the local and international 2024-2025 competitions. In other sports news, volleyball referee Commissioner Emmanuel Majengo says referees have done a tremendous job in officiating National Volleyball Championship. Commissioner Majengo insists that thorough preparations, especially for referees, have made the competitions run smoothly and raised the standards of volleyball games in the country.
Mchakato wa VAR ulikuwepo na naamini bado unaendelea kufanyiwa kazi kwa sababu
the VAR process existed and we continue to work on it, but the trustee has not yet completed it. We are making efforts to achieve this and we believe we will succeed.
Mechi zinavyoendelea haina shida sana, waamuzi wanaendelea kuchezesha vizuri, hatujapata matatizo yoyote.
National Volleyball Championship has entered into the third round as teams are showing thrilling encounters and have become difficult to predict. That was sports news, and now before we wind up, let's have a look at the weather forecasts for the next 24 hours.
Hello, and welcome again to the next 24 hours of forecast starting tonight at 9 p.m. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, my name is Ramadan Omari. Windy is expected to flow at 30 kilometers per hour over the northern coast. Over the southern coast, wind speed is expected to reach 40 kilometers per hour. Over the major lakes, Lake Victoria, Tanganyika, and Lake Nyasa, wind speed is expected to reach 20 kilometers per hour. And TMA has issued an advisory of strong wind reaching 40 kilometers per hour over the southern coast. So necessary precaution should be taken over those areas. And tonight, dry condition is expected to persist over most part of our country, with cool temperatures, especially over southwestern highland. And the rest minimum temperature is expected to be 6 degrees Celsius in their region. And tomorrow, few areas, especially in Tanga region, together with Unguja and Pemba ISOs, are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, light torrential showers and sun periods. And the remaining regions are expected to feature partly cloudy condition and longer sunny periods. And now, let's have a look on the next weather forecast over some regions of our country. In Dar es Salaam, partly cloudy condition is expected with lowest minimum temperature of 20 to 21 degrees Celsius. In Dodoma, minimum temperature is expected to be 16 degrees Celsius. Mbeya region, minimum temperature is expected to be 4 degrees Celsius. Mwanza region, minimum temperature is expected to be 16 degrees Celsius. In Kilimanjaro, minimum temperature is expected to be 15 degrees Celsius. In the Morogoro region, minimum temperature is expected to be between 16 and 17 degrees Celsius. And in Arusha region, minimum temperature is expected to be 12 degrees Celsius. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Do not miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. I am Faida Ngaga. Good night.
Angalia TBC1, ukweli na uhakika.
Hey!